Hi everyone, today's video is going to be a do you really need it video. So in case you are new to this channel and you've never seen this series, what I do is I go through my collection and I pull out a product that a lot of people like, a lot of people are kind of on the fence about getting. Maybe it's not a new product, but it's just something that people hear about a lot. It's kind of hyped up here on YouTube. And I'm going to go through and tell you, do you really need it? Do you have something in your collection that's already like it? Or maybe you missed out on something and this is a good filler, you know. Because a lot of the things I reference are limited edition. So if you missed out on one of them, this might fill the void. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean Lorac eyeshadow palette. Now, I have made no qualms about this. I adore this palette. I did a whole review video on it, which I'll link below, and I've also done a tutorial. It's not the same. This is Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean for the most part. But I did a tutorial as well. I think it's a really versatile palette. Just in case you haven't seen it, here it is. I think it's beautiful. I think it's weird because they're kind of pastel, but they're really saturated in color. And it's almost like, I think they really hit the mark. I know a lot of people are saying this seems really uninspired, and I totally disagree. You can tell I did a very warm tone look today. In my previous tutorial, I did a very cool tone look. There's a lot of kind of lighter, kind of dirty looking shades, very much like a pirate. I don't know. I really have nothing bad to say about it. But one of the things that I have heard a lot is people are like, you have these shades. That's not unique. So let's go through the collection, or what I have pulled out, to tell you if I think that's true or not. So first I wanted to pull out my Lorac Pro palettes. So I do not have the Pro 3, but I have the Lorac Pro 1. And yeah, we've got that garnet shade in the shade Treasure. I'll give you that. This one, the Pro, has a more like beautiful, like pungent gold. And this one's got Compass, which is what's on my lid today. But this shade, the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean, has a lot more color in it. It's got this blue, it's got this green that I love, this really interesting like browny purple shade. So I don't think this fits the same bill. Unless you're just really interested in creating like a warm tone look, then yeah, the Lorac Pro 1 would be better for you. Oh man, I don't have room to put places. I was gonna film a different video, but then I was like, no, I want to film this. So now let's go to the Lorac Pro 2. Now I accidentally busted out this shade, but it was just a shimmery brown. So this is a lot lighter. I think this is more along the same line as the Pirates of the Caribbean. And it does have some silvers, which is present in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's got this navy, which is not in the Pirates, but it's got the, you know, the sparkly blue. So this is more similar, but again, there's just more color in the Lorac. And the green, the Sea Haze shade is one of my all-time favorites. This shade up here. It's one of my all-time favorite shades in this Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean palette. So, you know, I don't think this is the same either. And I have done a full review on the Lorac Pro 2 in case you're interested in seeing that. Because if we're honest, it's not one of my favorite palettes at all. And then I wanted to pull out my Mega Pro. Now they have made 3 Mega Pros, and this is the only Mega Pro that I own. But here we are. This has a lot of shades. This one has 32 shades. So we're getting closer. I think that you could dupe a lot of it. You know, we've got like the blue and the blue. Some of these like lighter matte shades are definitely found in here. This duochrome, none of the Loracs have the Black Pearl duochrome. That's not in any of this Pro palette. It doesn't have a sparkly gold, excuse me. It's not gold. That's a red, like the garnet shade. It's called Treasure. But I'll give you like the Pirate's Chest, that yellowy shade. Yeah, that's pretty similar. The, you know, the matte black, the matte gray, definitely in here. So similar, but still, no, it's not the same. Now, if you are not interested, so like I said, this Sea Haze, this beautiful light green that I think is incredibly unique. If you're not interested in this shade, if you're like, I'm not going to wear that, I think maybe between the Lorac Pro, Pro 2, and Mega, if you have all three of these palettes, you might not need the Pirates of the Caribbean, but you're still missing some things. But if you just want like a one palette shop, I just think this is gorgeous. Like, look at it. It's so pretty. So, some other ones that I don't think are very similar, but I wanted to pull out if you're like me. If you saw this collection, you're like, Disney makeup, yes, bring it to me. I love Disney. I just made a video. I'm going to Disney World in November. I'm super excited about it. I'll leave that video below in case you're interested in seeing it. But I love Disney. So if you're like, well, I've bought a bunch of Disney collabs, I have two, so I wanted to compare them. So I have the Alice in Wonderland Urban Decay palette. And I think you can just tell right off the bat, they're not the same. This one's much more bright and fun. And the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean is a lot more muted. There are some similar shades. The Treasure, you know, again, that garnet shade, and Salism Grum right here. Some of the blues you could maybe work out. Some of the neutral browns. But really, they're not the same. This is a really unique palette as well. Okay, put this away. And the other Disney collab that I have bought recently, sorry y'all, I have my air conditioner turned down to 70. It's just Savannah, y'all. Is the Sephora Minnie's World in Color palette. I'm just going to pull out the actual shades. And if we're being honest, this one is more close. So you can see we've got some green in here. Now it's not the exact same green. We've got that garnet shade. We've got the blues. We've got a lot of neutrals. The Lorac palette has a lot more neutrals than the Minnie. But this is more similar. This is probably the closest if you have this one. But still, it's not everything. It doesn't have every single thing. But, I mean, that's just probably not going to really happen if we're being honest. Okay, well, go back in. I can't get the palette back into the packaging. But there's the Minnie's World in Color. So then, that's all that I had that was like Disney. So I mentioned a lot that the Pirates of the Caribbean palette is very pastel, and I think that's valid. So I have this pastel palette. I do not have the Lorac Love Brunch palette. I want it, but I don't own it. But this is the Sephora Modern Watercolors palette, which if you are interested, it's still available. And so this is very pastel, but it's very colorful. You can see the Lorac palette definitely has a lot more neutrals than the Sephora palette. So not really the same, but if you're into like a pastel look and that's what you were getting this for, these are really great quality. I know a lot of people had qualms about the Lorac Love Brunch palette. They said it wasn't very pigmented, and they just kind of blended away. And I think that this is a really good option. I've done a full review of this palette as well. Alright. So another one that I think is similar is the Tarte Tarteist Pro Palette. This palette has 16 mattes and 4 shimmers. It smells like chocolate. It does have that duochrome. Although I will say, if you really want like a shocking duochrome, the Tarte's a little more in your face than the Lorac. So this one is similar. You can see we've got a lot of those matte transition shades are found here. That really cool Tell No Tales, this like brownie purple shade. It's not the exact same, but you can kind of make it in here. But again, these colors, the green, the blue, the gold. Well, the gold you could probably make. But this one's still a little more colorful. But these are also pretty similar, I'll give you that. Then I pulled out these two palettes. These are the Smashbox Masterclass palettes. This is the volume 3, this is the volume 4. If you watch Emily Noel, which I know pretty much everyone does, then you know she died for this palette, and she talked about it forever, so I bought it. So this is going to be hard. So this is the Smashbox one. And this is the Lorac one. Right off the bat, it's similar. But again, you don't have the really pretty garnet. You don't have the green. You don't really have... This palette is more all over the place, a lot of color. Whereas the Lorac has more of a theme, more of a tone to it. So I don't think this is the same. And we'll pull out the Masterclass Volume 4, which is a lot more colorful, but I feel like this palette is a lot more muted. It's like the muted colors, very similar to the Lorac. Now the Smashbox is more colorful. You got this pink row. Obviously, I'm not saying there's a shadow by shadow dupe here, but I'll give you that you could probably make the same looks. This one is a little more colorful, but you could probably do similar, if not the same things with these two palettes. So all in all, I think that there are some things on the market that are similar. I think that there are things that you're like, okay, I can see how I could get that look using this palette. I think there's nothing that has this exact same collection of colors, which I didn't expect there to be. I think, I'm not like, I feel like this sounds like I'm like really offended and like upset. I personally think this is a really awesome selection of colors. I think it's really unique, and I think it's really well thought out, and I really like it. And I think that it is $52, so it's not a cheap palette by any means, but I think if you can get a lot out of it. But if you have a lot of these other palettes, you can probably get similar things, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast with makeup. I mentioned it a lot in that Disney World video that I love makeup. I will always buy a bunch of makeup, probably. But you get to the point where you have a collection and you're like, oh wow, I got this and I'm super excited. And then you look and you're like, okay, that green shade, I've got that in that palette. That blue shade, I've got something similar in this palette. Again, not saying you don't need new makeup, and this has a very unique collection of colors found in one palette, but that's just how, there's only so many colors in the world, let's be honest. But I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it was nice to see some side-by-side comparisons. If there's something that you think is really similar and I didn't mention, go ahead and let us all know below, because it's just going to be helpful. And so with that, I will talk to you all real soon. Bye.